All right, everyone. Welcome back to the STAG Project Podcast. I'm your host, Sebastian Valentin. Here we are with episode 4 of season 2. More to be revealed on what this episode is going to be on. But before we get there, we have a special guest coming back to the show, Don. Don's here with us today. Say what's up,
Yo,
Don.
what's up? What's up, guys? How have you guys been? It's been a while. I've been watching, from home, seeing what you've been doing. Also, quick thing, I want to talk about like the 75 hard, or rather 75 champion, my bad.
The
Seven,
Champion 75. Yeah.
yeah, I was champion 75. Okay, so you have been going crazy with that, which is great. And I love what I'm
Yeah.
seeing. I love what I'm seeing, really. I wish I actually got into that. That might have given, my summer a little bit more structure kind of thing.
More
But
motivation. Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
but
Okay.
hey, it's not all bad. I'm still like, working out from time to time, doing my own thing. But yeah, I love seeing those videos and, kind of a way to motivate people, get everyone going with the whole thing. And yeah, definitely, I love it. Good
That's
job.
good. That's good. Yeah, and it's just all about consistency. I'm gonna change here. I'll have an announcement video coming out soon. I'm actually
Mm,
gonna change how I do those videos. I think I'm just gonna do the milestone days. It's getting a
yeah.
little cumbersome. Just I don't like recording. And I said in a different video, I don't like just pulling out my phone and recording. I like living in the moment and just doing what I'm doing. I'm still keeping up with it. I just don't like pulling out my phone and recording everything. But I'll save that for a separate video where I explain that a little bit more. As you
Yeah.
guys can obviously tell, we're in a little bit of a different environment because we're not in college right now. So this is what we're working with, but this is still an effective way to run an episode. Wouldn't you think so, Don? Like I still think we can do a good episode
Yeah,
here.
I definitely. I think we were kind of worried about the quality and all that stuff, but actually, it's not bad. Actually,
It's not terrible.
yeah, it's good. So, it's doable. I mean, the main thing is getting the message across and having a fun conversation. So, definitely
Exactly.
looking forward to what we're about to talk about tonight. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And for those new viewers out there who don't know, the STAG Project Podcast is a podcast hosted by myself, Sebastian Valentin, in which we talk about all things self improvement and kind of guide you to how to become the best version of yourself. So if this is something that interests you guys, please consider subscribing and staying and listening to this episode. Let's hop right into it. Today, we're going to talk about relationships in society. And now this is going to be a very big episode and probably our most controversial episode yet. I know Don and I were
Controversial.
talking about it. That yes, there's going to be a lot of controversy in the sense that this is I think something Don and I are very well
Mm.
versed in. I would say so we can
Well
talk a lot
versed.
about it. So
Allegedly well versed.
let's hop right in, and I'll start off. Don, let me ask you. I kind of want to touch on what do you think is the problem within today's relationships? Because clearly, I mean, as we'll get into it as we continue this conversation, me personally, I feel like there's a problem with relationships nowadays. It's not either what it's used to be or it's just kind of toxic. Like there's a really big toxic environment. So I'm going to ask you, what is the biggest problem that you see in today's relationships? Based on what you see in other people.
Well, I think the whole our generation, I'll talk about our generation a little bit, but I think the biggest thing right now is we are having a identity crisis with a lot of things.
Okay.
Whether it's like it's just so many things. The biggest thing is identity crisis, and it's kind of becoming an epidemic. So, if we are coming to a relationship, it's becoming a space where a lot of people don't really know what they want anymore. You know, a lot of things have changed in a way that there is no incentives to do a lot of things, especially with relationship, both on the side of females, on the side of males, or on the side of whatever. It's kind of when it comes to relationship, it's just been a situation as with what I've been seeing, it's kind of been in a place where no one like there's no real incentive to go into a relationship. It's all been like a downhill type of thing for the past like few years, I would say. So
Right.
to cut to the chase, I would say that, again, no a lot of people don't know what they want. it's we are now in a situation where you have people who just are like, oh, like I've talked to a lot of people, and we have gone to the generation of people who want, like, talk about our grandparents, they wanted kids, and then our parents wanted, like, oh, I want 1, 2 kids. And on our generation, it's like zero type thing. A
Like
lot of
no
people,
kids.
even a lot of people don't even want to marry. A lot of people don't want to marry. It's like, I don't
Just
see
want
why
to
I
do their
should
own
marry.
thing.
They just want to stay alone. They just don't want to get, even when people get into a serious relationship, they just end up being in that type of relationship without even going into marriage. And that is another, like, even like a different case. We could even talk about why a lot of people don't want to get married, you know, how society is kind of, showcasing and even deviating from, like, the traditional way of family. That's a big thing. I feel like the modern family is it's broken. It's
The
been
nuclear
shattered.
family's gone. It's gone. I
Yeah,
completely agree with that.
it's right now you could barely see a family functioning well. That's what I mean, it could be that the media is being um a little bit too on the spectrum of things, but with what I've been seeing, it just kind of feels that a lot of, like, family wise things are getting broken, you know, whether it's the high rate
Yes.
in divorce, whether it's the
Or like
the
no fatherless, children,
yeah,
people growing up without a father or a mother,
hmm
that kind of stuff, neglect, that kind of stuff. I feel like I agree
yeah,
with you.
the boundaries between, or not boundary, but like the lack of um relationship between siblings, the lack of relationship between the parent and the child. All this is like the big thing that has been going on. And I feel like these things have been slowly increasing year by year. And it's getting like, it's kind of just like how habits are formed by little things. It's just how this whole pandemic or epidemic at this point, it's kind of what the whole thing has become. It's been slowly building up, and we have come to a very delicate situation. We're getting in a situation where we actually have to have this conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. You know,
For
a
sure.
lot of people don't know what they want. And yeah, it's normally fine to not know what you want. But when you have a generation of people that majority of them, yes, maybe deep down they do know what they want, but no one is really saying how they feel. No one is really saying how they feel. A lot of people
That's
have
key.
a lot of opinions about things, but no one is actually saying what they feel. It's all about what has been shown, both within the media, both within, what people want to hear. It's no longer what it's factual. It's all about what is being meant to be said, or what is acceptable by society. If you
Yeah.
understand what I mean by that.
Yeah. And something I want to bring up here is I think I know, and me personally, I want to say the problem is here. For all these things that you've talked about, I found a way to kind of link them together. It's social media. The increasing rise in social media is what has caused all these things, all these like structures and relationships to rupture. Because I mean, think about it, right? You when you're on social media, you are presented with a million different options. You can text someone through this app, that app, whatever. And communication is instant. We get that instant sense of gratification. So we no longer like you said, like we don't know what we want because we can kind of have whatever we want whenever we want in a fast sense. That's the consistency of just being exposed to that every single day where you can have whatever you want, whenever you want, as fast as you want, whatever. That's what breaks it. That makes us form habits that make us become weaker, and then we don't seek out those deeper relationships.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
let that shit go.
why seek out a deeper relationship if you could just talk? And that's like a big thing. Like, a lot of people, because like you said, there's so much options. There's no reason, or there's no incentive for people to be almost like be faithful. I want to say, in a way, like
And it's true
you.
because another thing too. Sorry, just to cut you off. I just
No, yeah,
remembered
go ahead.
something. The more options and this is like a scientific fact, the more options you're faced with, the less decisive you're going to be. Because like you're going to start questioning, oh, well, maybe I should do that, but maybe this one's better, but that, this, that. You become less decisive with all the options you have in front of you. Back then, your only option was to talk to someone in person, to go up to them. Like, that's what you had to do. And that's the best way to communicate with someone, because you can read their body language. You know, you can see their facial expressions, the kind of emotions that they're, you can't do that stuff through text. I mean, here,
Mhm.
this meeting and FaceTime is probably the next best thing, but
Yeah.
it's still not the same. I am, okay, if you know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
trying to
mean,
say.
talking really is still the best way of communication. Text will never, it never like kind of like you don't read the tone from text. Like it could
Tone,
sound
emotion,
you can't really like find that um I mean you could, some people get connection through text and all, but I don't think that you could over time, but it just takes so long to build the good or like deeper relationship through text. You know, some people go from text to start and then they transition to talking, and talking face to face, like, or even on FaceTimes and all that. That is probably the best way, because you get to read that person's body language. You get to know how they feel. You get to hear their voice, you know, voice tone and all that. That dictates how, you know, deeper relationship are formed. You know, you could text someone hiding in the shadows and text for like 5 years or whatever, but hey, if you guys are now
right?
talking face to face, if you guys don't have that real genuine relationship, if you guys are not hanging out, you know, you are not actually like benefiting anything from it really. It's just a text.
Right.
It's just,
And
you know, surface
yeah,
level.
and I don't know. Some people think that you can just start a relationship by texting, and I think you can start it, but you can't form an actual relationship just by purely texting. Like people who have online like relationships or whatever, like long distance, all they do is text or whatever. That's that just doesn't work. You guys haven't actually connected on a deeper level. I always saw this stuff in high school, like people falling in love with each other over text, but it's like you're not actually in love. You're just in love with the fact that you're receiving attention in the moment. You're getting that instant gratification. That's what you're in love with. You're not in love with the person. You don't know what love is because you haven't made that connection yet. You're staring at a bunch
Yeah.
of pixels.
And not only that though, imagine, you know, text, you know, obviously, like a lot of people are good with texting, but then when you come to talk with them and like, you know, hang out really, you know, obviously it takes time to build real connection, even when you meet someone for the first time and all that. But, you know, it's just so easy to like, you know, hide in that texting or whatever without
Right.
actually being able to communicate clearly when you see that person in person, you know, not being able to say all those things you say in text in person.
Yes.
And that I
And
feel like that take away from a lot of things, especially with relationship, you know, and it's easier to play all these games that have become what our society has, it's just what our
it's
society
what
has
we're
become.
built on. It's what we're
It's
built
all
on.
it's become a lot of, you know, games or whatever, just to, no one wants to see how they really feel, really, because you don't know if you're getting judged by that, or if you're getting, you know, backlash from that, or like there's just so much wrong with saying how you feel now that I feel like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And let me talk about a certain situation for me that's like happened recently. I think it's obviously like it was communication with another person, but they were saying all these things and then just never following through with it. And I think that's where another one of the problems lie is they don't put any action behind the words. The words are empty. And that's kind of what you were talking about. Like people just say stuff, but can they actually complete that stuff when you meet up in person? It's you have to put action into your words have to be meaningful. Like words nowadays are so empty. And there's a video with David Goggins. He just says like words are just fucking words. That's all they are. It doesn't matter until you put action to it. Like someone could say I love you, or someone could say I care, or I want to do this, I want to do that. But until they actually show you that they want to, they're reaching out and communicating with you that, yeah, let's set it up at this time, let's do this then, whatever, XYZ. when they show that they want to through their actions, not their words. Because honestly, like this situation taught me words aren't shit. Like,
Yeah.
if someone says something to you, like fine, take it at a face value. Don't bet everything on what they're saying. When they
Mhm.
show you, that's when it matters. And that's how it
Yeah.
should be in relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like, let someone could say they love you, but then they have to show you that. That's how you really know. It's not through your words. It's not just saying, bro, because you could say I love you a million times, bro. I could say anything I want, but until I show through my actions, it doesn't mean anything. There's no value to it. Oh, yeah, that's just
Yeah.
what it is.
It's just kind of, reading 500 books or whatever and just sitting in your
If you don't
couch and
apply
thinking,
shit,
yeah, thinking that, magically now you are gonna like start lifting 300 pounds or whatever, or just start benching, 325. Like that is not gonna happen. It's no matter how much books and no matter how much knowledge you have of something, if you can't apply it to anything, then it just makes no sense. Why acquire knowledge that are dormant and you don't even put into action? Like, why do
exactly.
that? You know, it's no matter people, you could see all these videos on self-improvement and whatever, and you see a lot of people on TikTok too at 2 a.m. in the morning, at 2 a.m. in the morning, watching TikTok about going to bed early and waking up early for going to go to the gym, work out and whatever. And that person at 2 a.m. is eating pizza, drinking some, I don't know, some Sprite, Mountain Dew or something
Some unhealthy
at 2
shit.
a.m.
Yeah,
At 2 a.m. And then, they're like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna start. The next day they watch another video and another video and another video. If you don't get up from that bed, you are not gonna gain anything. You are not gonna get any better. In fact, you are getting worse. And that's
yeah.
just how it is with relationship. If you do not put effort, like if relationship, people come into, I know like, videos now, you could probably have seen videos that kind of talk about this, but when you come into a relationship thinking it's 50-50, then you know that it's not going to work. You got to wake up every day and put in 100%. If you
Both
want this to
sides.
work, both sides, you got to put in 100%. It's not about putting 50%. I'm hoping and thinking the other person is going to meet you half. No, that's not how it's going to work. You know, the only thing that breaks, I want to divert that to family now. The biggest thing is communication. And that's something that, I feel like, a lot of people need to work on.
Hmm.
Communication, you know, I bet you
Say how you feel.
there's,
Say how it
exactly,
is.
there's no need dancing around how you feel. I bet you there's no need dancing around how you feel. If you know what you want, just say it how it. If that person doesn't want that, then you move on. Time, a lot of people just waste time, you know, hoping and trying for something that is almost, it's not that it's unattainable, but it's just that that's something that is not worth chasing after.
And
And
not just that.
you could have avoided a lot of the time and problem and headaches that, and probably had breaks that brings if you say how you feel
Yeah.
from the
I
very
mean,
beginning.
and just not just that. A lot of people, they don't respect themselves. And that's, I'm going to say it 100% truth. That's how it is. A lot of people don't respect themselves. They start talking to someone and then they give their all to that person. That person clearly isn't showing any effort. The person clearly doesn't want anything. And they destroy basically their whole livelihood. They do anything they can to please this person, to put them on a pedestal. And it's so noticeable in today's society. You see it all everywhere. You see it all the time. And it's like, get a grip, have some self respect. If someone's not showing you the same energy that you prescribe, the same energy that you're showing, the same energy that you want, get out of there. Don't
Yeah,
waste your time in somewhere where you're not valued because you're worth so much. Like think about it. Like, what are the odds that you yourself were born the exact way you are. And you see all those videos and all those statistics, like 1 in 1 trillion, whatever, billion, whatever it is. You are a gift. You have value. Don't throw it away on someone else who doesn't care about you, you know?
But I
I
feel
think
like,
I find that crazy because like I feel like nowadays people do that in relationships and they do it because they want to please the other person and they want to make sure the other person's good, you know. They kind of go into like this self-martyr mode. Kind of, you know what I'm trying to say? They turn themselves into a martyr. You don't need to do that. That's why it should be 100. You shouldn't like be pulling here 150% of the weight and they're only pulling 50. That's not how that works. You leave those situations. Be strong enough to just be like, no. For myself, I know that I don't need to be here.
but you gotta understand too that a lot of reasons why people stay and keep pursuing all those, you know, people that doesn't give them attention. One is the normal human nature of looking and trying to get what we don't have. That is a big thing. It's a big thing that we need to understand and be satisfied with ourselves. That is absolutely one of the biggest problems. A lot of people are walking around with huge red flags, and some people just see it. It's clear, but just because of the fear of being alone, the fear of not having that thing that we really want, we just keep chasing after this big red flag. It's not worth it. It's not
It's
worth it.
not.
It's
And I
not
think
worth
I
it.
agree with you that it's human nature to chase something you don't want, but I think you can also, you have full control of your thoughts. You can sit down with yourself and be like, okay, like rationally analyze it and be like, no, I don't need this. Like, as much as I want it and I know I can't attain it, and I know like I'm basically fighting against my own human nature, at the end of the day, realize the effects that it has on you. You know, like it could completely destroy your mental. You see people all the time, probably like I know, and I see this a lot in high school. People they turn into instant depression because their high school crush doesn't like them. Their whole livelihood is destroyed because they can't fight against their own human nature. I think we have human nature, and there's a lot of things we follow, but I also think we were made to fight that and to like we have to forge our own path. It's a constant war in here every single day for everyone. No one's
Yeah,
emotions are perfect. No one is just like cut cut straight to the chase. It takes time. It takes failure. You need to fail forward and realize, you know, life is not perfect. Life is not linear. Things change up all the time, and you have to continue fighting every single day.
one thing I kind of made me remember about a certain someone that when
Oh
they go
boy.
to the a certain someone that when they go to a party and they're having fun, they are the life of a party, you know, and then sometimes they have interest in this one person, but then it's like if that just one person out of everyone that's been like cheering them on or like being interested in them, but just that one person that didn't give them attention, it just ruins their whole night. It just ruins their vibe. It just ruins everything about that night. And I think that's one of the things we gotta understand. That shouldn't be the case. You know, you shouldn't change your entire vibe off of one person.
That's right.
We
You give
care
it.
so much about, and I think we touched, this is kind of a season one stuff. If you haven't watched that, please go back, start from episode one.
Watch all those videos. Watch
Yeah,
them.
watch those. Those are gonna really help you because when people give so much thoughts, that's when they get bit in the ass. Like when people just care so much about what others think, it just ruins everything. I mean, everything for you. And that's just, I'm not claiming that I've achieved this, but I believe that, to some extent, it's very essential. It's kind of like the type of thing that when you fuck around, you find out. And I think I have fucked around enough to have found out that people's opinion and shit. If there are not people with high value in your life, their opinion is dog shit. Like
And
Yes,
yeah,
if
you're
that
the one that
person, if
gives the
that
value.
exactly, you assign those value, and if that person does not worth anything, bro, like I don't know why you sit there and analyze and cry yourself to sleep over
Yeah,
nothing.
bro. Stop tripping over one person. That's one thing. And honestly, bro, like I think I learned that throughout the past year. For me, for sure, 100%. This little figure in your story sounds very familiar. But I'm saying, like, I've definitely learned that placing my value on just one person and letting it completely control me, that's something of the past because I don't do that anymore. Like, I realize my own value, my own self worth, and I know, like, bro, if someone's not vibing with me, and there's a million other people that Loki kind of want to vibe with me, or at least have a potential to vibe with them, I'm gonna go to the other people. In the past, I used to be that person. Like, bro, I shut down because that one person was inviting me, and I wanted that one person. But like, that doesn't matter anymore. It's about like realizing like they don't want you. All right, you move on. That's point blank period. That's how it is. But if it's meant to happen, it will happen. Maybe not,
Mm,
obviously not now, but like in the future, maybe. You don't even give it the time of thought anymore, though. You don't think, oh, maybe one day. Nah, like you cut the thought out, you cut the person out of your life completely, and you just like you move on and you do your own thing. And it's funny, as you start doing your own thing, you build your own empire or whatever, they come back crawling here, like trying to get. No, I'm kidding, bro. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
but yeah, I understand that, but it's kind of funny that you hinted into if it's meant to be, and I want to explore that because it's just kind of things that with the recent events, I don't know, like I understand if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, but do you even think our generation still thinks that way? Do you think people still believe about both soulmates type, or like not even just about, I don't even want to soulmate at this point is kind of far-fetched. I want to even say like things um things that are meant to be in terms of relationship. Is this person meant to be, or is it clearly, or is it only dependent on my own ability to raise up this person, or my own ability to keep the conversation going, or my ability to have those conversations that get us in a deeper connection, or go do the fun thing, or am I the heart of the party? Do you understand what I'm going with this? You
yes,
know, the biggest thing is, I mean, for me, I think a lot of things have been happening that I'm kind of on the edge now about things that are meant to be and things that are not meant to be. Reason why is that, our the way our society have been drifting towards kind of makes me question a lot of things. If you understand what I mean. Like it
mm,
kind of makes me question, you know, about those things that technically that or normally that we would be like, oh, this thing is happening and don't worry, it's meant to be, you know. And I don't want to believe it's meant to be that way because of the direction that our society is going. If it's really meant to be that way, then our society is kind of fucked. Like we are fucked. As a civilization, we are fucked. You know. I
and
don't want to like
maybe I'm gonna say it again, but maybe that's how it has to be. Maybe we have to go down this path and fuck up really bad for us as a society to learn something. Maybe that's the reason we're going down such a bad path. That's why I still believe, like, I get where you're coming from. Like, if you like, you don't want to believe it because it's bad for everyone, and like society's gonna kind of crumble from it. But like, maybe that's what has to happen. That's a perspective to think about. That's why I think like, no matter what, everything it has its time and place. And I think we talked about this with the boys like over a
yeah.
year ago, and I don't know if you remember this conversation. We talked about like God and how
Mm.
he kind of like it's not something like everything is predestined. It's more of he's writing your book, your page right now as we speak. You remember what we were
Oh,
talking
okay.
about?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
like
remember that. Oh, that was a dude. Okay, not gonna lie, that was kind of one of the most interesting conversation because
that was a great
everyone had
conversation.
everyone had a different view to it, and that
Viewpoint.
made it
Yep.
a lot more interesting. But that's kind of what we are lacking in society now. It's kind of everyone wants every like it's kind of like I want to say more of the media trying to showcase a particular way of thinking.
They're
That
controlling.
yeah, and that is the biggest downfall of our society right now. Because when we were having that conversation, it was great because we all had a different ideas and different perspective to it. But also the big thing is that we are talking about the same topic. We are on the same topic. Yeah, even though we had different perspective to that particular topic, we were still on the same page. Right now, I don't think anyone is on the same topic. I feel like we are not, it's not even about perspective anymore. We are not even
Right.
in the same topic.
Everyone has
That's
a
how
different
fucked it
view
is.
on like relationships and like love and all this stuff. And I think one of the biggest problems with it, and this is we can kind of transition over to this next part, is like we've been talking about society. Society plays such a big role in controlling kind of everyone's thoughts. They kind of they make it seem like in order to achieve this perfect relationship or whatever, you have to follow these unrealistic standards, and people stick to that. To me, the truth is, I don't think anyone knows what a real relationship is, or like what a good or a bad
Yeah,
relationship.
the
You just
question
have that
is there even
relationship.
like, is there even standards anymore? That's the
That's
thing.
what I'm
Is there even
saying.
standards anymore?
Well, there are the norms, the social norms. Those are like the standards, but why are we following them so closely?
But
Like
those
people
are
care so much.
those are the very unrealistic. If we are talking about standards, that is not standard. That is so unrealistic. If
It's
we
like
talk about
perfectionism.
it, yeah, it's if we talk about how the media have made social media have made us, let's say I scroll through my Instagram feed and I see like 10 gorgeous girls, right? And that's all the only thing on my feed. And you go out, or let's say the only thing on my feed are girls that are 10 out of 10, what society deems to be 10 out of 10, right?
It's all
And
subjective
then
at the end of the day.
if I keep getting fed that type of content every fucking day, what do you think is gonna keep happening to my mental and the way I view society? I'm gonna expect every damn person to look like that. I'm going to expect every damn person to look, and that also happens to the females. If they scroll through social media and all they see is guys that are always traveling in a private jet, in a nice cars, in an
Boats.
extravagant, luxurious yacht, why would they think that if they go out of the street and see someone driving, I'm going to use this particular car. I don't know, it's been receiving a lot of hate, but a Toyota Prius, if someone sees you on that car, why do you think they're gonna, want to associate with you like that? Because all the media have shown them is that this is what men are meant to be, even though that's just 1% of male. If media shows you that this is what the perfect body female needs to be, why this is just 1% of females, then it just ruins how society builds relationship. It ruins everything because now, you go into a relationship with someone and this expectation is way too high.
It
We
is.
even sometimes forget that we are humans. It's almost that like we are supposed to have this code that doesn't have errors in it, which is just ridiculous. It's just absurd in this modern. When I see all these things, I just like sometimes I just want to delete all the social media in my app just
Same
because
here.
it's
Same here.
kind of too much. It's stupid,
It's
you know.
extremely unrealistic and it ruins people's minds. It makes them toxic. It's not right. Like there are things that are just unattainable. And I think, okay, it's good to have standards. Have your own standards, but be
Exactly.
realistic about your standards and don't just follow what society says. Like everyone wants someone like 6 foot plus. And it's like I get it. Like I know that's one of the biggest things debated. I told you this is gonna be controversial. And it's a thing. It's a thing. Like everyone wants like, but do you actually want that? Or do you want that because everyone is telling you that they want that? Like it's a societal. To me, I think it's a societal thing because like
Mhm.
it doesn't matter when you grow old, you decrease in height anyways. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you get shrivelly and old. Like who fucking cares? it's all something that was ingrained in us. And I think
Yeah.
a big proponent of why it was ingrained was social media. Like you said, constantly seeing these models that are jacked and all this stuff. And don't think I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
don't go to the gym. You better go to the gym. You better stay in the gym. But it's not like not everyone is going to be jacked. Not everyone is going to have that same mentality.
Yeah, but if you always see people, and that's kind of the thing that brings a lot of insecurity in people, though. If you go to social media and all you see is almost a perfect version of what you want, and when you see that all the time, and mind you, these people are not even perfect. These people,
Yeah.
some of the people that are jacked as hell, but you don't know what substance they're taking. And you have been going at it natural and you expect to turn into this monster. It doesn't work like that. You don't know what price they have paid. Some people that have reached some status on social media. I want to say social media because it's not real life. That's not their real status in real life. But those that have read that status in social media, you don't know what they paid for that. You don't know the cost of that. If you are told the actual cost of what they have attained, you don't want to go through that. Some people have put their life through shit. Some people have had all they have had to deal with is broken relationship just to get content, just to
It's
be
all it's
relevant.
all a lie. It's just a lie. It's something made
Yeah.
up. Like I don't even know why we do it. I think we do it to impress other people, to attract other people. Maybe we want
When you
attention.
give
There's
a
different
fuck,
reasons, but it's it's sad to see that that's how we've given up. We've literally made ourselves slaves to social norms. We
Mhm.
take them and then we forget that we ourselves as humans, we have the ability to form our own opinions and to think in our own ways and to do the things that we want to do. Instead, we fall into the masses and we do whatever the mass does. And yeah, it's hard to just go away from what everyone's doing and do your own thing. I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing in the world, but it's the most valuable, it's the most beneficial. You see the most personal growth. You get to create your own thing. And why wouldn't you want that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you want to
I
be like
know.
everyone else? You're so unique that use that gift, use that uniqueness.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people don't see the uniqueness in themselves anymore. If all you're fed is just, something that deep down, because obviously all these things are just cravings and wants that people have deep down that when they just see it in social media or if they see it around, you know, they but not just they just want it. That's just something they want. And a lot of people just start losing that confidence, especially if that seems unattainable. And half of these things are unattainable. Half of it is just pure madness. People just chase things that are just insane. It's almost impossible to get. I know this video is not sponsored or anything, but guys, hey, it's been a nice conversation so far. And if you guys like what you are hearing and seeing, please, subscribe to his channel. He's been doing a great job. Also, I know
Appreciate that.
you post this on Spotify, you post this on Apple Music, right?
Apple Podcasts. This is on all major podcasting websites. Just you'll find this
Yeah.
anywhere.
So
YouTube,
so
anywhere.
So if you guys want to like listen to this, going to anywhere, wherever, if you feel like obviously this is a long episode, that's a podcast. If you want to get a little bit of it, I know you're working on getting in the shots so that, people could just watch a shorter versions of this. But yeah,
Right.
if you guys like what you're hearing and seeing, please just go check out every site, subscribe to YouTube, follow the page on Instagram and
For
everything.
sure.
But yeah,
We're
back
gonna
to
see a
what
lot
we
more guests too here. Like these deep conversations, like I don't think I'm gonna do a single episode alone anymore because of how good this
yeah,
conversation has been. I think I'm just gonna try to get as many people as possible, just like
yeah,
chipping in on
definitely.
these type of conversations. And it's especially good for mental health. Because I
Yeah,
think we should tie that back in here. That's the whole point of this season. We're talking about mental health. And I think in relationships, a lot of people tend to overthink and they lose their patience. Things we've talked about in the past. The relationships cause a lot of these bad things. It's what causes a lot of like mental illness, depression and all that stuff. It can stem from bad relationships. So that's why this episode is extremely important. We need to realize that these are things that really matter. We're not just here ranting about relationships nowadays. Yeah, they're broken, but they have an effect.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I did get a little personal, but it's whatever,
But yeah, it's a conversation that, the thing is about this conversation is that it's not outrageous. It's half the people that listen to this are also thinking it. It's not like, it's just that thing that, it's almost like intrusive thoughts that everyone is having, but no one is saying it. It's just gotta be said. No one has the courage. Has to say it. Yeah, I would say, no one has the courage to say it, but it's just something that needs to be said, because half the time it's just insanity at this point. Half the things that happen to people in relationship is just stupid. Things that are happening, at this point, obviously, you'll be like, yeah, don't blame society for everything that happens to you, bro. But that's kind of what it is. That's the whole media. That's kind of how it's been affecting a lot of people. A lot of people are gonna be like, oh, if you don't like what you are seeing in the media or whatever, just get off of it. Sure, that's a way to put it, but not everyone wants to get off of it. Some people, it's a way, it's almost like a coping mechanism for them, to escape their own life. They have to go into the social media platforms in a way to either pass time or a way to keep busy. A lot of people go through a lot in relationships, and there's no other way to, escape those things that happen in relationship rather than going on TikTok, going on Instagram Reels, or like Facebook or whatever. Twitter is a crazy. I've been on Twitter for, I've been kind of getting a lot more active on Twitter, but dude, it's been crazy there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I just feel like there's always war in that space. I think Twitter is just the World War III platform. It's just a constant war. But yeah.
Well, I understand that people just kind of use that as a way to escape. They use Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. That's their method of escape. But I think a lot of people don't realize is that you don't need social media. Like, think about a time before social media. You were fine. You were just a kid doing your own thing, playing with Legos, doing some stupid shit, whatever.
A lot of people can't relate to that anymore. Because
not anymore, but I'm saying for most of us, and even if they can't relate to it, the good thing is there's a million different things you could be spending your time with instead of. So say you go on your phone. You tend to go on your phone during lunchtime, or when you eat, you pull out your phone and you watch Netflix. I do that a lot. I'm an iPad kid. It's kind of what it is. But sometimes I sit back and I think, like, why am I consuming all this media right now? Like, I should be in the moment trying to eat my lunch, doing what I have to do. And you can apply that same concept to hopping on like TikTok or whatever. You're going to be on there, say you're on there for 5 minutes, which most of the time I know half of y'all are not on there for 5 minutes. Y'all are definitely on there for 20 plus. But when you hop on the app, say you're on for 5 minutes, what could you be doing with those 5 minutes? You can replace that by reading a book or doing literally anything else. Do ab exercises for 5 minutes, do push-ups for 5 minutes, whatever it may be. There's a million different ways to just replace and cope in different ways, in healthier ways, right? Because you're not really gaining anything if you hop on social media. I guess you watch some videos, some things may be life-changing, but what's more life-changing is action. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, if you do 50 push-ups in those 5 minutes, say, or whatever, you're 50 push-ups better.
Yeah.
There's a chance
but no one likes hearing that, though. The thing is, no one likes hearing
the hard stuff.
Look, and the crazy thing is, some people will come on this podcast watching and be like, bro, like, I thought this is gonna be about how can I get the next girl, or how can I get the next man, how can I be more attractive to people, but that's not what we are here. If you wanna listen to something like that, you
go watch some pickup line videos or some dumb shit.
Exactly. That's different. This is what reality come to be. You know, attraction is different from, it's not even about attracting the opposite or whatever um anymore. It's about how do you even stay in that relationship and be mentally sane? You know, how does how do you end up being in that relationship without being sucked off like every like mental, brain waves or anything left?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people go in relationship with a better like mindset and whatever, and they just look miserable by day. They just look. And again, this is obviously if you are in any toxic relationship, just get the fuck out of it. Like
Get out.
I don't know, I don't
It's
know why you
ties it back to the
it's
self-respect.
just get out. It makes no sense for you to stay and just keep taking whatever you're taking there. Just get the fuck out. I understand you feel lonely for a period of time, but it's so much better than just trying to be with someone that doesn't appreciate you or doesn't know your worth. It's not. I understand that a lot of people could be like, oh, but if that's what we are preaching, then that's kind of the same situation with why divorce is like that. A lot of people go into divorce and, they're like, oh, it doesn't work out anymore and I'm not going to stay and fix it. There's a difference between something that's really toxic and something that could be workable. Obviously, if you're in a relationship, I feel like what we have been learning now is that if we have a little disagreement that could be worked out,
They
people
just end
just
it.
walk
People
out
just
of it.
end it.
People just end it, and that's kind of what dating a lot kind of brings into the conversation. When you date a lot of people, and all you learn from that is just to run away from your problems and not face it, then it becomes a real problem in time. Because when you actually find the person that you think is the one, which now is also, I think it's frictional because at this point, there's no one that is the one. There's no perfect person out there for you but yeah, not to be sidetracked. The biggest thing about, relationships and getting out of relationship is you gotta understand there should be set um values to why you should leave a relationship. Don't just do it because, oh, this, don't cheat on someone or all that crap just to get off the relationship or whatever. The one thing I would say is with relationships, you have a standard, and when that standard or boundary has been breached, you have every right to walk out. But it's not because of some dumb argument that could be worked out. You just go to bed, wake up the next day, or even before you get to that heated moment, someone just needs to walk out and just calm down and just cool off a bit. That's all that needs to be done.
Cool off and then communicate. Because the reason we have a lot of these issues is the lack of communication or miscommunication, whatever it may be. So obviously cool off, let the situation just marinate, if you will, and then talk about it. People don't talk about things anymore. And another thing too that I thought was interesting that you were talking about earlier is there's no purpose to dating anymore. People just date to date. Exactly. There's like, what's the point? You should be dating someone because there's a reason behind it, right? Like you're dating someone to marry, or you're dating someone to spend the rest of your life with, but maybe not necessarily have a marriage, whatever it may be. Just there has to be a purpose. People just do it nowadays because whatever, it's cool, or I want to be liked, or I want to have a boyfriend, I feel, or a girlfriend, whatever, and I feel lonely, whatever. Like there's no real meaning. There's no purpose anymore.
Yeah, definitely. And the more I think about like where or the direction of our society, the sickening it is, I I just I just feel like obviously like TikTok is another thing, it kind of, the more you watch and see how people talk about some certain things, you just understand that the trajectory we are heading for is just a whole, it's just a disaster, and that's why I've kind of like, I've cut out short videos, like what 30 seconds to 1 minute type of videos. One, it loses all type of context in the video, and two, it kind of it's ruining a lot, but um attention span, being able to comfortable talk to people and not get bored, because your brain is starting to be in a wavelength where it kind of takes in a lot of information at a time, where like you sit down for 5 minutes and you have watched seven different videos, because you go in, this is a comedy, you watch a little bit, you screw up. Now someone is talking about how they're heartbroken, you screw up, and then someone's talking about how to make $1 million, you screw up, and then someone is talking. It's just so much information at once that
Yeah.
it's now it I feel like it's damaging.
It's overstimulation. Your brain can't
Over
take all that.
Exactly. And that's why I've started switching more to a podcast. Really, I think I told you about that, but shout out to I think it's called A Diary of is or The Diary of a CEO. That podcast he's good at. I really like how how the podcast, just having one single guest and talking, the way he structures this podcast is out of this world. I love it. The way he talks and the way the guest, let the guest talk and all that stuff is just, I love the whole structure to it. And getting more into podcasts has just made me, get the whole story about some ways on how people think. You get the full picture when people talk for a longer period of time. You get how they truly feel about a certain topic when you listen to them over a longer period of time, unlike just scrolling and like seeing a 30-minute video.
It's because they stay on the topic and they explore it. They go deeper than just the 30 minutes, the 30 seconds to 1 minute videos. Like they go into it very surface level. Yeah. On these podcasts, we've been talking for 45, 50 minutes now about this stuff. That's like, there's a lot of content on just a singular topic that your brain can slowly digest as you're hearing and listening to it. Exactly. That's more valuable for you. You learn more from that. I feel like you kind of get more stupid and you just kind of scroll, It's too much for your brain. There's too much. It's overstimulation.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely think that's one thing we need to I could talk about, ways to cut down this whole, like, when it comes to relationship, how to be a lot more the respect part of the relationship is a big thing. If you don't respect your partner, I don't think you guys are going anywhere. Nope. And a lot of people, once they feel like they're not being respected enough in a relationship, start to deviate or start to act up or even start to, back away and become emotional, unavailable, all that stuff. So I feel like the biggest thing is that if you want to go into a relationship with someone, don't just go into a relationship because you want a figure or you have created this character that you need someone to fill up. You have created this character that you need someone to fill up. And then when they come along, that person is just suffering under your created reality or your fictional reality because it's not real. Yeah. You have created something that isn't real and you expect them to fit into those shoes. It doesn't work like that. You end up having people who have to go through hell, who you disrespect on a daily basis just because of this created, character. And that's why I'm like, if you're going into a relationship, if you're talking to people, I don't expect a lot from people anymore. When it comes to I just joke around with a lot of people now about so many stuff because really when it comes to expectation, it's like, obviously I have my principles, which I'm not going to bend it for anyone. Those are like my core principles that are not changing for no one. But then, when it comes to standards, it shouldn't be outrageous. It should be realistic to what society, not what society deems it to be, but what you truly want in a person, you know, and not just people. I don't even want to talk about the financial part when I see all these videos and just some people who are just, I don't want to say dumb, but they are truly dumb. They just say some things without not even like thinking about what they say. You know,
Mhm.
it's just a lot of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying, man. And I think the biggest way to just combat all of this, everything having to do with, you know, the miscommunication, all these negative vices that we're seeing in today with relationships, the biggest way to combat this is to invite courage into your life. I think a lot of people lack courage. You know, they get scared easily. They cave into their fear, into their emotions, and they choose to, maybe I shouldn't communicate this to my partner. Maybe I shouldn't say this, blah, blah, blah. And then that's what leads to all that miscommunication. That's what that leads to those problems, is not having the
Mhm.
courage. If you feel something and you have to say it to your partner, say it. It's your feelings. They're valid. They matter. But you
Mhm.
have to be able to communicate that, right? And that's what a lot of people struggle with, is the courage to communicate that. Some things are a
Exactly.
little bit outlandish. You know, sometimes you let your emotions talk instead of rationally thinking about things. And that's something a lot of people need to work on, is not acting out of emotion. But
Logic.
at the end of the day, what you say and what you feel matters. And if you have a partner, it should matter to them too.
Mhm.
So, Don, I'm going to ask you here, how can people find more courage? What can people do to become more courageous and to stop with all this crap?
I mean, for courage, I feel like there's so much to do, but it's like, I know I touched on, insecurity, social media and all that. And those are the things that just take away from you, when it comes to courage and all that. For me, I feel like the way you build courage is you, first of all, this is my own personal opinion and this is how I go about things. Just know the less fucks you give about things, the more courageous you get. Just
Yes.
how it is. Once you start getting comfortable to do things your own way, the better it becomes for you, the more courageous you are. Because why would I not tell my partner or someone, okay, let's say I have someone that I have a crush on, right? And I want to communicate this with them. And if I don't say exactly how I feel, all I'm doing is, one, I'm wasting my time, right? And two, I'm not getting what I want, which is to get to know this person or to get to be with this person, right? But when I stop giving a fuck about, first of all, what that person, the reaction from that person, it doesn't change anything. If that person says yes, that's good. If that person says no, it's faster and you move on. And understanding, yes, obviously a lot of people don't like rejection. No one really like rejection, but you gotta come to terms with it. You know,
It's necessary.
rejection, it's necessary. It's part of life. Like every other thing, it's just like failure in business. If you go into any business, you don't expect it to like just become, profitable off the bat. You are gonna fail a lot. You're gonna have to learn from that mistakes. And that's one thing also with dating that I feel like a lot of people don't get. You don't jump from one person to another without learning lessons. A lot of people, and it kind of, that is one thing that I hate seeing, when someone just, after being through a toxic relationship, just jumps back into it just because the person I don't like seeing that. One, because it shows you didn't learn any lesson from that.
Right.
All the experience you have gathered through those times with that person, for me, it just went to waste because you didn't learn jack shit. You did nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And if you're trying to be courageous, that is something you gotta understand. You gotta understand that, yes, there's gonna be rejections, but also it's just for your own benefit. Getting the rejections right now could be it could be one more step to getting what you want. That one rejection away from getting what you want. And I feel like that's essential. If you think you're gonna go around doing things and living life without L's in your life, I don't know if you are
I
a
don't know
god
how
or what.
you've
It's
been in
yeah, it's
life.
not
Life,
yeah,
like there's
it's not
L's every
possible.
day.
Exactly. It's not possible. You're just gonna have to pick your battles. You're gonna have to be strategic with it. You gotta know where you need. And it's just funny because it just kind of made me remember like some of those days I'll be like, oh dude, today has just been full of L's. Like I don't think I could take any more L's this
Yeah,
week.
you always
I
said
think
that.
I think I'm like, dude, this today's L's have covered the L's for this week. It's just like how it is. And sometimes it could be the way for you to build up courage. You're like, okay, like I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried this. It doesn't work. Okay, I gotta scrap this and I gotta look for a better way. And that's kind of you gotta learn from your mistakes. You gotta
Yeah,
learn
and
from
there's
difficult things.
there's actually a
And
good quote I want to say here is that
Mhm.
life is like a game of chess. Once you make a move, you can't take that move back, but you can look at the board and think, all right, how can I make my next move better?
Yeah,
That plays
like,
back into
like
what you're talking about, you know?
the funny thing. Sometimes I just remember how immature I could be. Sometimes, what I just remembered. Life is like a piece of rock.
Oh my gosh. Only
No,
real
but
ones watching this will know.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Shout out to Chuku there.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, I just said that, and if he watches this, it's gonna sound like he's the one that made that quote. I was actually the one that made that, but it's an inside joke. You guys are gonna get it sometime. But yeah, yeah, it kind of made me remember that. But yeah, on a serious note, I think I know we have been talking for a long time, and obviously, if you have made it to this particular point, you are the
You're a real
real
one.
G's.
You're
You're
a
the
real
real one,
one.
and you understand the importance of what we are talking about. And hey, sometimes these conversations gotta be this long for people to understand what's going on. But yeah, back to what I was trying to say. The biggest thing that I feel like I know courage, helps with everything, but I think the biggest thing is being true to yourself. You gotta be true to yourself, no matter what's going on, no matter the shit you're going through. You gotta be true to yourself. That value about yourself, you have to have a principle that's unshaken, no matter what is said in the media, no matter what is being done around you. If that's how you think right inside, because I know a lot of people have similar thoughts and they just don't want to say it because they have this, fear that everyone around them is just gonna, you know, attack them for saying it. Yes, you're gonna get attacked for saying it, but
Either way, you're going to get attacked either way.
exactly. So you gotta understand and you gotta exactly what I was saying about picking your battles. You gotta pick your battles. You gotta know when you're gonna take L's and you're gonna put again values. You're gonna know what values things have, and those are the things that are gonna depict what you are, how you're gonna take your L's too. If something is of high value, you cannot take else for that. You just have to work hard towards that. If something is just what it is, bro, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Remember, remember the core thing is going back to those episodes, those first season, it's everything that we have been talking about and how you have structured this podcast has been to build off of each other. And it's very essential that people go back to watch and understand, those things about value, overthinking, all that stuff that built to this particular thing about relationship, because all those are small, tiny things that contribute to people
Everything,
having,
yeah.
yeah.
Everything is interconnected. Like all these topics, they're here for a reason. They have a value, if
Mhm.
you will. But yeah, no,
All is well.
I agree with what you're saying. And I think really to kind of put a cherry on top, this whole
Hmm.
relationship talk, it all starts with loving yourself. And I know that sounds super cliche or whatever, but it starts with when you respect yourself and you know what you want, you know your values, you know your standards, you know what will make or break a relationship for you. Once you figure out all the stuff that you have to figure out, then you can go out into the world and you're readily available to start looking for someone to get a good relationship. It's like I say in previous videos, you can't really help someone if you're broken yourself, you know? Like you can kind of do something, but you can't give them the help that, you know, someone needs if you yourself are broken. Yeah. So you need to find that, like that. I think that's what courage is to me. Courage is sitting down and realizing, like, I don't need a relationship right now. I need a better relationship with myself. That's what courage really is. And then eventually, you know, you'll reach that meaningful, the genuine relationship with another person. You just have to find it within yourself first.
Yeah. Well, again, you just kind of summed up, you know, the whole thing about this, you know, topic. And, you know, I am super honored to be here to discuss this topic with you.
Of course.
I really appreciate you having me here. I'm always happy to jump on and, you know, have this conversation. Yes, it was a long talk and I really love it. You know, obviously this is kind of how our talks go. You know, we talk for a long period of time. It's just that sometimes for the podcast, you know, we want to hit a time limit that we kind of shorten what we say. Yeah. But I just like this. You know, you wanting to go all out, and this was, you know, perfect for it. This was perfect for it. And, you know, right. I think one thing people also need to, you know, especially for the new viewers and whatever, you know, this is kind of why we are doing this. This is just to give you a perspective, you know, a different view. If you have been feeling this way, or if you have been feeling that, you know, society has been derailing and whatever, and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm pretty sure that you are happy to, you know, even have some of these people come in and, you know, have a genuine conversation with them.
Yeah. And it's that's what this is. This is to build a better society. That's what this whole podcast is about. You know, it's voicing those silent opinions, those silent things that they don't get spoken about nowadays. That's what I want to promote. Is I want to speak out and I want to talk about it. I want to have the hard conversation with everyone, because sometimes that's all you need to put one foot forward and start moving, start taking action, start building a better life for yourself. Is to just start the conversation. That's all this podcast is about. But yes, Don, I really appreciate you being here on this episode. You'll definitely be coming back for more. Guys, we're going to have more guests as well, you know, throughout the rest of the summer and the rest of the season. And when we get back in school, don't worry, like the content will it's going to keep rising. Obviously right now, you know, it's a pretty small channel, but I'm okay with that, because the amount of people that I'm affecting, even if it's like 20 people, I'm still changing something. I'm still trying to make a difference. That's all that matters, is that we're making a difference out here in the world. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.